Hello everyone. I wanted to get part 3 out quickly so that you have the opportunity to follow along with the current investigation that took place this summer and will continue here in 2 months. In this presentation, I want you to see and get a feel for what we know is taking place in, under, and around Blind Frog Ranch. Very important here is I want everyone to understand the cavern system and the flow of water that occurs in the area. I want you to understand that hidden treasure existing at the ranch could have been from ancient times or cached by the Spaniards between the mid-1500s all the way up until those that were Spanish became Mexican, or that it could have been taken back up to northeastern Utah after Moctezuma was killed and the conquistadors were temporarily defeated by the Aztec and pushed out of the lake city of Tenochtitlan. So give me a few moments of your time and let's continue with my research where part 2 left off. Faults of the Uinta Mountains. Look at the faults where Blind Frog Ranch is at. Short length, so minor on quaking ability, but excellent for mineralization to occur. It's also a great place for cavern systems to form. Why was the Blind Frog Ranch area such a strategic location for many different groups of indigenous people in the past? Were they all indigenous? The oral traditions of the Shoshone and Paiute say no. So who or what else were in the area? We're told giants or people of great stature, the ant people, and the Chineke, meaning little people. Again, look at all the fault line activity bunched together. Mineralization took place along the faults. Mines are where the faults are. Look at all the micro faults. Older where Blind Frog Ranch is at. These type of brownish soils out of place are typical of large mineral deposit areas. Mining is often found in these types of deposits in soil. What you're looking at here is just north of the northern part of Blind Frog Ranch. Why does the state of Utah happen to own this piece of land directly north of Blind Frog Ranch? Everything else around it is BLM, which is Bureau Land Management, private property or reservation lands. This is the headwaters of Crow Creek, an area of very interesting mineral potential. Was this done because of what the LDS Church, who are the Mormons, knew back in the mid-1800s? Certain land along faults and in highly mineralized areas being kept by the state. Another view of this, and for those of you that know the storyline behind funding of the LDS Church through gold obtained from the Uintas, think Ker-Shinab. Native Americans in the past stated that Ker-Shinab translated to, "There dwells the Great Spirit." Those people, the Shoshone, Paiute, and the Ute, state Towat is the Great Spirit. Towat, or whomever that was said to be of great stature, giant in size, lived near or was worshipped at what is today Blind Frog Ranch. Of incredible interest is that Ker is ancient Gaelic from the Celts of old and means stone. Shinab is ancient Hebrew and means hollow. Together it represents stone both hollow. That sure sounds like a void or cavern below ground. Now think about what I just said. What in the hell were the Celtic and ancient Israelites doing in northeastern Utah? Okay. We're obviously heading underground with my hypothesis. So similar spring and sinkhole systems are found throughout the Uinta Mountains and Basin. This is to show what is occurring below ground, how it's formed. This is a large sinkhole entrance several miles north of Blind Frog Ranch. Many mines are in these entrances or within feet of these sinks. Some mines are so old that the Native Americans have no clue who was mining them. They predate all tribal groups in the area except for several Paiute bands. Those Paiute state that the miners were large people of great stature, having tools that made sound, and enslaved the Paiute to work those mines. Here we are coming out of that sink. Front view. So during the late spring, the hole is completely covered in water and has whirlpool currents occurring. Here are some of the mines I'm willing to show you from around the sink. When the Spaniards came to the Uintas, they didn't have to dig many new mines. The Native Americans only had to show them ancient mines that needed to be reopened, with plenty of ore available. To the Spaniards, the amount of ore available must have seemed to be an endless supply, or at least enough gold available to create 7 cities of gold. Think Cibola. Now I want you all to fully understand where we are currently discussing. It's not just an area full of unprocessed ores such as gold, but has many buried caches of gold ingot bars and other precious materials, including ancient artifacts and quite possibly a hall of records or depository of an ancient culture, civilization, and or race of persons of great stature. The Nengunt people, we know them as the Paiute, or water people if translated to English, have a very old oral tradition. They call it a Nadu Gwenup, meaning historical account. It's said to be from a time before the Paiute existed in this part of the desert southwest, which was around 1050 AD. The author Vine Deloria Jr. tells us that the indigenous people here before the Paiute first admired these people of large stature, considering them deities of old. Later, after being enslaved by the same giants, forced to work in the mines of the mountains, those desert archaic people rose up in rebellion, rallying many tribes and bands to fight against their large oppressors. The headwaters of Crow Creek are tied into all of these oral traditions, going back over 1,000 years ago and continuing with the Ute of today. Those precious materials and artifacts should resemble or be nearly identical to these gold objects, now located at the National Anthropology Museum of Mexico in the Aztec Culture Wing. The Aztec, Northern Paiute, Shoshone, and Ute are all part of the Uto-Aztecan speaking people and hence related. All this information I'm showing is documented from the Water District here in Vernal, Uinta County. I reviewed, studied, and documented the county's water district dye tests in the mountains above, and their statistical data from multiple water and reclamation sites used here. The water flows toward and would affect the underground system at Blind Frog Ranch. The water would flow southward, below ground, and underneath this area being shown, which is the headwaters of Crow Creek. Note that the dyes were released at the sinkhole we just finished discussing. We're getting close, very close to a major discovery. This world underground is going to include information on what is creating the magnetic phenomena at places like Skinwalker Ranch. The below our feet is going to include unprocessed ores. The subsurface below our feet is going to yield treasure, hundreds if not of thousands of years old, much of it predating the Israelites that were apparently here in the area. I'll continue to post from our most recent investigation at Blind Frog Ranch. I'll be back up at the ranch in 2 months for the work to continue. I'll keep everyone informed of what is truly happening. Please follow my YouTube channel as I continue to discuss topics that take me around the world and deal with high strangeness, lost cultures and civilization, and details of history that have been lost. Take care, everyone.